So here is the schedule. So you can see there is a break at the end of February. That's when all of our leadership in ALC and a whole bunch of other agents are all going to be away for family reunion. So there will not be Ignite the week of February 26th. And then we pick it back up in March. So one other thing to note, Ignite is typically 20 sessions long. And we just feel like it doesn't really work. We lose people by the end. It's just drug out for far too long. So we've condensed it down into 12. So a lot of the sessions are actually 2 sessions combined. You may have noticed that if you looked at the student manual that I sent out. So today, for example, we are covering 2 Ignite sessions in 1 session. You'll also, if you looked at the student manual, you may have noticed, or you will notice, you wouldn't have yet, we've cut out some of it. So at the end of each session, there's supposed to be some like practice time. We've taken that out. You guys can do that on your own. We will actually talk about accountability partners today a little bit. So maybe you find an accountability partner within the people taking Ignite, and you guys could do the exercises together after the sessions or in between the sessions or whatever it may be. But in order to condense it down into 12 sessions to keep you guys engaged, we had to cut out some of that stuff. Okay. So today we're going to start with the original session 1, which is Spark Your Career. And we will also do the original session 2, which is Embrace Your Job. I will say that these 2 sessions are a little bit more about mindset. So if that's not your thing, don't stop attending Ignite because of it. The rest of the sessions really get into the job of a realtor and how to do each task. So this session is more so an intro, whereas everything else really gets into the nitty-gritty. So if mindset type of sessions aren't your thing, Ignite is not all that. So please continue to attend.
Okay, so starting off, the first slide says, anyone can do it, not everyone will you? This is a quote from Gary Keller in one of his team's published books. Gary Keller is the co-founder and executive chairman of KWX and Keller Williams Realty, which most of you probably already know. And he's one of the most influential people in the real estate world today. Real estate is a great business, and you can make a lot of money, run your own successful enterprise, and achieve your biggest dreams. And as the quote says, anyone can do it, not everyone will you? Does anyone have any thoughts on this as to, what it means to you? Maybe an example so far in your business of, just the idea that, like anybody could get their real estate license essentially, but what it takes to actually succeed is different. So, would anyone like to share anything on this?
This is Cyril. I think it is whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
That's right.
So the harder you work, the more clients you build up, then obviously the better it's going to be in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, in the last few years, anyone who's been licensed pre-COVID, we all know how many people got their real estate license during COVID. It seemed like the world really put real estate in the spotlight, and everyone thought realtors were making millions of dollars. Now, I mean, it definitely increased through COVID, but you do have to work. Like a lot of people got licenses coming in saying, oh, real estate's so easy. Everyone's making so much money. I'll get my real estate license. And I think most people learned pretty quickly that you actually do have to put a lot of effort into it. So it's just one of those things you really need to, like Cyril said, what you put into it's what you'll get out of it.
Exactly. I think it's, understanding that you're not just a realtor and the business comes to you. It's a business that, you have to be in charge of, and, exactly, again, what you put into it's what you're going to get out of it. So yeah, I think we've seen a lot of people over the last couple years come in and go. It isn't for everyone. But again, if you put into it, it can be very rewarding and you will have a successful career.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the 6 personal perspectives. So the 6 personal perspectives are the ways that successful people think and approach problems and challenges. So Gary Keller did some research with successful people in the field, and he asked questions like, what is it that differentiates those who achieve at the highest level from those who do not seem to accomplish as much? And he figured out these 6 perspectives are really the main differences. So we're just gonna take a few minutes and kind of go through these. So the first one's commit to self-mastery. So the first perspective that all high achievers share is to commit to self-mastery. Notice it's not commit to mastery, it's self-mastery. Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. When you commit to achieving self-mastery, you know your goals, know your strengths and weaknesses, and know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. Are you committed to self-mastery? Are you committed to knowing your goals and strengths and weaknesses? Does anybody want to speak to that? No?
So this is very important for kind of getting a game plan for your career. Most importantly, like the setting of goals. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses are very important as well. But I think, like, of course, number one would be setting your goals. Has anyone set goals? I know when I started, I just flew by the seat of my pants and I didn't really set any goals going
Hi
forward.
there. So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
When I retired after 40 years of working 9 to 5, I've walked away with a personal habit that's ingrained in me of only having to do what I needed to do. And you walk away where, yes, I could work really hard some days and coast the other days because you build a level of comfort and you'll always get your paycheck. You'll always have your benefits. And now that I've retired and decided I wanted to go into real estate, knowing your strengths and weaknesses is huge, because when you work for others continually for an extended period of time, you don't always recognize what really is your strength and weakness until you challenge yourself to think outside the box, to do things that make you feel really uncomfortable because you haven't done them in 20 years or ever. So in my case, since I've retired, I've had to take a real deep look at myself and say, okay, I was an exceptional employee. I was a great manager of teams, but now I'm my own boss. So what is the discipline I have and the areas of even the mindset of real estate? I've wanted to be in it for 25 years, but the mindset of real estate for me, I come from a mindset of, I don't want to be a salesman. I don't want to be a car salesman. So I've had to step back and have more respect for I've learned just the last few months how much is involved in it. That real estate is, yes, you are in sales, but I have to change my mindset, because the whole reason I wanted to do this was because I love to see the same smile I had when I got to walk into my very first home. And it just, the amount of growth at age 60 I've had to do just to get my head around operating my own business. And I'm still working on my big why. And my own strengths and weaknesses and have used the goal system to, for now, work on a personal level, while on the side note, having expectations of what I'd like to do this year in real estate. If any of this makes sense to you.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Angela.
Yeah.
I think that you're on the right track. And I think that, people coming in and thinking that they're just a salesperson is not looking at the big picture. And those are the ones that, aren't going to do it. And when you step back and you're like, okay, I don't want to be a salesperson. I want this to be my business. And you look at it as a business and you start running it from a business, that's where things start to change. And you have a successful business. So I think that's very, very smart. And it made lots of sense. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so commit to the 80-20 principle. This is number 2. 20% of your actions leads to 80% of your results. The idea is that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing results, and it's about having focus. So yeah, not even just pertaining to your real estate business, to your life. You'll sometimes hear that 20% activities described as big rocks, or your one thing, or your dollar productive activities. What would you guess is the most dollar productive activity of a real estate agent? Anyone have any thoughts on this?
Lead gen?
Yeah. So in Ignite, we're going to identify your 20% for you. Your dollar productive activity is lead generation. Exactly. When you commit to this, you will make more money, have more time with your family, and be more organized. So if you don't follow this, and I have been there, so I can speak for this one, you're all over the place and you're completely consumed with real estate. You can't focus on anything else, and you don't have time for family and, personal things or whatever. So this one to me, like, is really important.
Mhm. All right. So the third perspective is to understand how to move from being E, which is entrepreneurial, to P, which is purposeful. All of us can attain a certain level of success using our natural abilities, and we can also expect to hit a ceiling at some point. For example, when you were a kid, you were really good at doing cartwheels and flips. But did your natural ability allow you to perform in a circus? Probably not for most of us. I don't think anyone in here has been in a circus to my knowledge. So you need to practice with a coach or whoever it is to get you to that level. Your natural ability isn't going to take you that far. So likewise, we all will hit a ceiling of achievement by relying on our natural abilities. And the way we break through ceilings of achievement is to get purposeful. So what does that mean? It means focusing on models and systems that organize you and your tasks into the most efficient and effective endeavor possible. Does anyone have any examples of that for themselves personally?
I'll just mention that before I got my real estate license, I was in sales, and really, honestly, I've been in some sort of sales all of my life. So again, I guess I, took the sales approach and looked at it as a salesperson and did what I thought I needed to do. But when you do hit that ceiling, you do need help, and you do need to take, a different approach from it and look at it as a business, and, like, maybe start working with a coach or have somebody to hold you accountable. So I can relate to this one too.
Mm-hmm.
What
So you
about
hear a lot of
anybody?
times people who are in salaried positions will say that they've hit ceilings for how far they can be promoted or how much they get paid. But high achievers are always looking for a purposeful way. So they break through the ceiling of their natural behavior. Wouldn't you like to achieve success and break through that ceiling? How about living a larger life? KW is all about living a larger life. So Ignite is not only designed to help you start your business, it helps you grow your business. So keep this one in mind. A lot of this one is a big one I find people struggle with. They feel like they can only go so far. So you really just need to be purposeful, and KW is full of systems and models. And from the start, it's hard to grasp those, especially when you're just trying to learn how to do the business. But they're really, really important.
The fourth perspective is an obvious one, and you're already doing it by being here today. Being learning based. So make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. A learning based individual appreciates learning for their own improvement. They know what they know, and they know there's always more to know. An individual who does not appreciate learning is what's referred to as ignorance based. They know what they know and they ignore everything else. Learning-based individuals have made the decision to use effective learning as the foundation piece of their action plan to develop their life. Training and education are a big part of moving forward to attain goals and succeed at a high level. Learning-based individuals commit to the process of acquiring skill-based habits. Ignite is just the start for you as a learning-based individual. You will learn about many more learning opportunities available from you from Keller Williams, like Aaron had mentioned just in the previous slide. Keller Williams offers so much learning. Like I've been here for over 10 years, I think, and I still don't feel like I have taken advantage of all of it. So it's continue learning, stay engaged, get plugged in, use the tools that are here for you.
Yeah. And a great first step for many of you to be here taking Ignite. Hopefully we'll be back in the office for the rest of the week for those of you who are nearby. But really, really important to be plugged into the learning here. All right, so the next one is to remove your limiting beliefs. So what are limiting beliefs? They're thoughts and mindsets that limit you. Like the ones on the slides. I don't have time for training. I can't be successful in this market. I can't devote 3 hours each day to lead gen. We all have limiting beliefs, and it's best to recognize them and change them. For example, are any of these thoughts in your head? I have to be an expert to know everything before I can begin my business. I'm not valid yet. I don't know how I can achieve a profit goal that will fund my life this year. I don't feel comfortable talking to people about real estate. The business will come to me naturally. I don't need to do lead gen. Does anybody ever have those thoughts?
I know I have.
Definitely.
I think the first one that I read was, I have to be an expert to know everything before I can begin my business. I think that one really can hold people back. New agents, and of course you need to get prepared and you need to set up your business correctly from the beginning. But a lot of times I find new agents get really bogged down in the administrative parts and they're not doing lead gen, right? You need to be organized. I get that. And trust me, like, organization is a big part of my life, but you need to be doing the things that are going to make you successful, which at the end of the day is primarily lead generation.
One I wanted to mention, Aaron, and I'm just wondering if anybody can give me a little bit of insight on this one. I feel that the last one, the business will come to me naturally. I don't need to lead gen. Like, that was me, but I feel that somebody who's more in an urban area might not feel that way. I feel like I felt that way because I'm in a rural area and I'm in a small place where everybody knows everybody. So I was like, I've been in business for a while. Everybody knows me. It's just going to come. And you know what, for a while it does, but then, you've got to work at it. But I'm just wondering if that's more of a rural thing. And like, if the agents in the city that, they might not ever think that way.
I know I thought that way just because where my husband was former military, I assumed with the connections we had that I would automatically get business. And that didn't happen at all. Yeah, not at all.
Funny that it doesn't just fall into your lap without doing anything.
Yeah,
And,
really.
you know, and it does take a while, like even Laura, like when you think you do have the connections, everybody has their realtor. There's realtors that have been around for decades and, you know, like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly. And it's funny how many people know more than one.
yes,
4, 5, 6. It's crazy.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Sorry, Cyril. Yeah, I thought people would be lining up.
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of messages saying congratulations. I hope it's great. Oh wow, that's awesome that you started doing something else. But nobody has said, do you want to sell my house or can I
Yeah.
buy a house through you? I mean, a few people have, but not like what I thought it would be.
No,
But don't
it's not a,
call me. I was just calling you to tell you the plow was here.
like she's talking to us. Yeah, people aren't banging down your door just because there was a Facebook post announcing that you got your real estate license, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned about other agents, I live across the street from Ian Angus as well, who
That's
basically owns
helpful.
Timberley. Yeah. So
All right. So watch out for those limiting beliefs. We talk about limiting beliefs a lot at KW. And if you really do change your mindset around them and notice that you're having them, it can make a big difference. So watch for those.
Because their cars are really buried in there.
Will you let me know when you're moving your car back?
Okay. The sixth and the last perspective is about being accountable. What does being accountable mean to you? Does anybody want to chime in on this one a little bit?
Does anybody struggle with being accountable since you're now a business owner and you don't really have anybody to answer to?
Yes. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it can be challenging also. I mean, a lot of people have experienced this the last few years, but working from home is something new, at least for me. So it's a combination of not having a boss and being surrounded constantly by distractions at home as well, and always something else to do. If I want to find something to procrastinate with it, I don't have to look very far. So,
And not a true schedule either,
right.
right?
Exactly. So accountability is first and foremost an attitude and approach to your entire life. An accountable person says, everything in my life is a result of my choices and actions. I own my life. Accountability is a tool for continually changing the results in your life in those areas that matter most, your 20%. A person who is accountable in their 20% says, I own my life, and in certain areas, I want to continually improve my results. I'll be purposeful and I will be learning based to continue improving. Ignite will provide you with the tools to develop and cultivate your accountability and to be successful. What are some ways that you're accountable right now? You're here, that's one.
Yeah.
The
I
other
was gonna
ones?
say, you keep showing up to all the Ignite sessions.
Right, all of them.
I just teamed up with Vicki Bennett, and that's, for me, that's a huge accountability.
Mhm.
Having somebody else watching what I'm doing and, yeah.
100%.
Has anybody worked with a coach yet?
I do. I work with Colin Bradford.
Yeah.
And I'm out of
Good.
breath because I just moved my car for the plow. But he's great. That whole, it's fabulous.
It is. I think I was with Keller Williams probably 10 years before I talked to a coach. Last year I worked with Grant a little bit, and it was good, but I'm telling you, it was hard. Like really, really hard.
Yeah.
Not used to it, and it's very important.
It is, because this is February and it's super easy to curl up on the couch with a movie than it is to sit down and do 2 hours of lead gen, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you can reach the highest level of achievement in business and life by adopting these 6 personal perspectives.
All right. Now we're going to move on to everyone's favorite topic, money. All right. So where does your commission go? So we all know, I think most of you would know by now, that commission is typically split 50-50 between the listing agent and the buying agent. It's not always 50-50. It's been changing a little bit, but we'll use 50-50 as the rule. And then when you do have a closing, you have to pay the office. So you pay the office 30% for your company dollars. So that's up to $20,000 if you're an individual agent. And then there's 6% that goes to royalty. So that's the money that goes to Keller Williams International. So the 30% stays local to KW Select. That's just us in Nova Scotia and PEI. The 6% goes to Keller Williams International. Then you have to still pay taxes. So you will get that money deposited into your bank account, but it's not necessarily yours. So it's not like I know Angela came from a salaried position beforehand. When you're in a salaried position, your income tax comes off of your paycheck and gets sent to CRA on your behalf. Now you might end up owing some more in April when you do your taxes, but usually not too much. In this role, nothing goes to CRA on your behalf. You have to account for that. So please make sure you're not spending all of your commission when you get it. Now, of course, income tax is going to vary depending on how much you're making. But please, 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 please do not spend all of the money you're given. So income tax can range like 15% to 30%, probably 40% in some cases, depends. And then also HST. Now, because you're a business owner, you have an HST number. You're being paid HST on top of your commission, which is not yours. That's just you collecting the money for the CRA. You have to give it to them. Okay, so please make sure you're not spending all the money that goes into your bank account. Does anybody have any questions on that? Because it's actually really, really important.
I don't have a question, but I'll comment from experience. Put it aside because you're going to get caught by CRA. Yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of money you end up paying them and you don't even realize it. So I get the office to hold mine back and it's made a huge difference for me. Huge.
Yeah, so I can touch on what Laura just said about the office holding it. We have a program that we can hold your HST and or income tax, one or the other or both, up to you. So the HST is just HST. We hold it for you. And then when you need to pay CRA, you can just send me an email and I'll release it to you. And then you can just instantly take it and move it to the CRA so you don't get tempted to spend it. And then income tax, you would have to tell me what percent of your GCI you would like held. So most people start off at like 15 or 20%. Obviously, you're going to have a better idea of what you pay in income tax after a year or two in the business. And it's a number that's always going to change depending like year to year. It's always going to change. James, I saw you unmute. Did you have a question?
It was just regarding what you just explained. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So if that does interest you, the holding, just shoot me an email and I can send you the form to set it up. There is a $20 quarterly fee if you want me to hold one or the other, and a $30 quarterly fee if you want me to hold both. But that's nothing compared to the interest you'll have to pay CRA if you don't have the money to pay them. Okay, so here is an example of a year of business. So if your goal to have your net income, so remember, net income is after all of your fees. So that's the profit you keep afterwards. That's not your gross commission. It's the net. Does everyone understand the difference between those?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if your goal is to net 100,000, we know that your company dollar and your royalty is going to be 23,000. So that's 20,000 to KW Select for your cap and 3,000 in the royalties that go to KWRI. Then business expenses, maybe that's about 50,000. So that brings you to your gross commission would have to be 173,000. So 100,000 you want to be your profit plus 23,000 plus 50,000 is 173,000. We all good so far? If our average commission is 8,000, that means you have to do 24.7 transactions. Everybody good with that?
That's a lot of transactions.
It is. It is. So we talked about setting goals beforehand. Doing something as simple as this. There is an exercise in your book. This is blank in your book for you to fill in. Just roughly do it. Not everyone's net income goal is going to be 100,000, especially starting out, but just do it. And then it will tell you how many transactions you need to do. If I said to you, okay, you need to net $100,000 this year, do any of you have any idea how many transactions you need to do before we did this exercise?
No.
No. So it's hard to figure out what sort of business you need to do if you don't know what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? So something so simple as doing this and your net income goal, it would help if you figure out how much money you need to live your life, right? Pay your mortgage, take the vacations you want to take. If you send your kids to a private school or university or whatever it may be, what expenses do you need to live the life that you want to live? That's going to really help you figure out what your net income goal is. So there is a blank one of this in your book. Take some time. If you don't know what your average commission is, if you're in Halifax, it's like $7,000 to $8,000. If you're rural, you can shoot me a message. I can help you figure it out. Obviously, the more rural you are, sale prices are typically lower, so the average commission will be lower. But it really helps you understand what you're working towards, right? A dollar figure is hard to know what you actually need to do. Break it down into transactions. That will help you. All right, so we're going to move on. I know everyone loves talking about money, but we're going to move on from it. So we're going to talk about spheres and lead generation and stuff like that. So I just wanted to remind and or tell you for the first time that we have a do not call list. So I'm sure you've heard of the do not call list. If people are registered on it, you can't call them. You can be fined if you call them. So the office does have a subscription to the do not call list for you guys to access so you can check to see if the person you're about to call is on the list before you call them. You do have to sign a waiver in order to get access to the list. So if you scan this QR code, it brings up the form for you to sign in DocuSign. So you can just quickly sign it. And then we'll share the Excel sheet or the Google sheet with you of all the phone numbers in Nova Scotia and PEI that are on the do not call list. Does anyone have questions about that? No? Okay.
Okay, moving on. Powerful conversations get results. The daily success system requires that we talk to people every day. It's important to know what to say, and we will help you throughout. We will help you with this throughout your Ignite. You will have conversations of care and gratitude. You'll check in with people. You'll offer value and assistance. Notice I didn't say you are calling to ask if they need to buy or sell, did I? No, because there's a better way to gain confidence and stay in touch with people. So when they think of real estate, they think of you. Conversations strengthen relationships. So powerful conversations get results. Through lead gen, uncover motivations, identify objections, close deals, speak in terms of the customer understands, build confidence. It's important to understand like what you're saying to people and the conversations that you're using. Like for example, as a doctor learns anatomy before working with patients, agents must prepare to have meaningful conversations with their clients. Using purposeful language helps you get to the end point, an appointment in a closed transaction. Knowing and practicing what to say helps you communicate your value and provide value to the lead or the client. Proper conversations, including powerful questions, help you uncover motivations with a buyer or seller and identify any objections so you can address them up front. Practicing conversations allows you to have a thought-out response that delivers a powerful message in a way that the consumer will best understand and be able to utilize. Practicing allows you to ask questions in a way that people will be able to quickly share the information you need to better serve them. Practice and internalization helps you gain confidence. So, for example, you could do little role playing, like with other agents, with whoever you've teamed up with to hold you accountable. But you could just do it with someone that's in your household, so that you're prepared when we go into the next slide to talk to people that's in your sphere. So people in your sphere are people you have met in one way, shape, or form. So for example, I think it was Laura said when she started, her husband was in the military. So, she thought those people were going to come over right away. They might not, but there's still people in her sphere. There's still people that she can talk to. And, she practices the conversation, has the right language, then, they're going to engage with her. They're going to help her create more leads and whatnot. So in Ignite, we will be having conversations with people we know and have an implicit relationship to remain in contact. We call these people our sphere or sphere of influence, or the SOI. Your sphere of influence are people you have met and they know, trust, and respect you. They are most likely to help you. After all, people like to do business with people that they know and trust. So you can see why this would be very important. The contacts in your phone are a good place to look for your sphere. Your sphere of influence is more than just friends and family. Would you prefer to do business with people you know, trust, and respect? Do you think your friends and acquaintances would rather use a realtor they know and trust? Or do you think they'd rather use someone that they don't know? According to the National Association of Realtors, which we refer to as NAR, 66% of sellers and 41% of buyers found their agent through a friend, a neighbor, or a relative, or used an agent they had worked with before. It costs nothing to call people you already know. It requires fewer contacts and less effort to ask them for their business or to refer their friends and family. So, can you see why it's important to talk to people and, to chat with people about the business? Like, who do you know that's moving soon? Who does your cousin know that's moving soon? Like, if you ask these questions to a bunch of people in your sphere, think of all the leads that you're going to get. Who doesn't know that you're a real estate agent? Okay, catch your sphere on the move. This graph depicts when people are likely to move, which NAR has found that the average person moves every 7 to 10 years. I was shocked at that. I didn't realize people move that much, but good for us. The peaks are the moment a person moves. As soon as they purchase, the likelihood of a move falls into a trough, and over the time, likelihood of a move builds back up again. Your job is to have a relationship throughout their home ownership, so you are top of mind when they're beginning to consider another move, or they know someone else who has a real estate need. If you don't talk to them for 8 years after a deal, why would they call you first when they're ready to move? So you can see why it's important to stay in touch, whether it's sending out birthday cards, Christmas cards, that type of thing, or again, just chatting with people on a regular basis.
And Command can help with this a lot, staying in touch with past clients especially. There's smart plans in Command, which are automatic touch points. So that can be an email, an automated text message, or a task that generates in your Command reminding you to do something. So there's a smart plan. It's just called the quarterly call plan. All it is every quarter, Command will give you a task to call that client. That's it. a quarterly call to touch base, check in, see how they're doing. And something like this weekend, all the snow we just got, is an incredible reason to touch in with people. It gives you an excuse to call them and have a talking point, right? Just calling to check in, make sure you made okay in the snow. Do you need a contact for a plow, anything like that? I mean, most people in the city probably shovel, but something like this, maybe they do want someone to come plow them out, right? So and you need to come from contribution sometimes. If you were to call them today and ask if they're okay in the snow, if they need any contacts for a plow or whoever, snow removal, it's going to go a lot further and seem like you care or prove that you care more than if you just call and say, hi, do you know anyone who needs to move soon? Right? Like that's not adding any value to their life. And it just seems selfish and it's going to eventually turn them off. You need to provide value.
Exactly.
Okay. So there is something we call the Ford method. So it's just a way to help you identify your sphere. So you're going to have conversations with people all throughout your career. But when you first are starting out, you need to figure out who you're going to have those conversations with. So the Ford method stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So these are just like talking points when you call people. Again, you need to come from contribution and you need to make it about them. If you just call and ask, do you know anyone who's going to move? It's not like it's not going to get you anywhere. You're going to be that sleazy car salesman that nobody wants to talk to, right? So ask about their family, ask about their job. Maybe they have a cottage, ask how their cottage is, and then their dreams. And dreams is a great point because oftentimes real estate is a part of their dream or can help them achieve their dream, right? Maybe they have a big dream that requires a big financial change in their life. Buying an investment property could be the gateway to that dream. Maybe their dream has to do with retirement. Buying an income property now will set them up for that retirement dream. And you can remind them of that. Not everyone, we work in real estate, we always think about that, but not everybody does. So if you discover a dream of theirs that requires a big financial change in their life, maybe an investment property is the answer. And then guess what? You gave them that idea. They're definitely going to use you to purchase that investment property. Right? So again, when you're lead generating, especially with your sphere, it needs to be about them and not you just calling, asking for business. It's a quick way to turn people off, right? Realtors don't always have the best, not reputation, but the best, people don't have
There's
the
like
best.
a stigma attached to
Yeah,
realtor
yeah,
and
thank
car
you.
salesman, which I think isn't as bad as it used to be, but
No, it's definitely not as bad, but you don't need to fuel it by just calling and asking for business, right? Of course, you're going to wiggle that in there, especially the better you know the person. But just keep in mind the Ford method and the 4 very easy topics of conversation, right? Talk about them. Okay.
I
So
find
like
you're
I
so
said,
right. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
oh, go ahead.
I just find you're so right about the, car salesman mentality because I mean, kind of in a joking way, but I've already had that from a few friends like, oh, you're in real estate now, like you guys are only in it for the money and whatever, you know what I mean? Like that kind of an attitude, which is exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying. But I
100%.
find what I've done is people I know with large contact base, people who know a lot of people, I've just invited them for coffee, chit chat, give them my card and say, hey, if you happen to know anybody, like, but that's after, like an hour-long conversation.
Yeah. And of course, you're going to ask for business. You have to ask for business, but that can't be the point of the conversation. I mean, of course, it's kind of the end result of the conversation, but you need to either provide value or make the conversation about them. If you just call them and say, hey, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell? Like they're going to stop picking up the phone, right? But if you have an hour-long coffee with them and catch up and talk about them and talk about you and talk about not real estate, just be a human being, that's totally different.
Yeah, and that's usually how it ended, right? Was
Yeah.
we would have an hour-long chat and they'd be like, so what, how is it anyway? And then well, here's my card. And if you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, real estate is a very hot topic in the world right now. Like, people care, people want to know about the market. It's always in the media. So it's always going to come up. Everyone is going to end up asking you about it. Okay, so like I said, we combined some of the sessions, and we are doing session 1 and 2 today. So we're going to move on to session 2. And again, just an overview of the sessions to come.
Okay.
And I kind of skipped through.
That's okay. Okay, 6 core competencies of a business. Welcome to your new job, your sales career. You are an independent business person, and it's important to understand the components of this job. Essentially, you are it. There is an appropriate saying, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. In your participation guide, you'll see the 6 core competencies of a business listed, which comes from Shift. So we've got 6 core competencies of business. Number 1, lead, generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get an agreement. Number 3, show buyers and market sellers. Number 4, write and negotiate contracts. Number 5, coordinate the sale to closing. And then number 6, manage the money. We've reviewed the overall path of Ignite, and you can see that we will cover all these competencies. We build on each one as we go. Running a successful business involves engagement in all 6 of these activities.
All right, so the first is lead generation. And that is your first priority. We've already talked about it being your 20%. That's like what you do. After all, if you have no leads, you don't have a business. You must have leads to sustain a thriving business, which is what you signed up for. So you will learn, it will be repeated over and over, that your number 1 job is lead generation. It's the daily practice of talking to people about buying and selling real estate, but not only buying and selling real estate. Capturing is about obtaining accurate contact information, name, phone number, email, home address, and anything else that they're willing to give you. Capture also means adding new people to your business database so you can converse with them and provide value. Another important component of lead generation and capture is that you ask for permission to stay in contact with them. You'll learn more about the importance of this step as we explore lead generation later. Finally, convert to an appointment. Capturing leads is wonderful. However, the ultimate goal is to find and attract buyers and sellers and set an appointment to meet and agree to work together in buying or selling real estate. Remember, we're learning and building on each new skill as we advance through the entire course of Ignite. This is why it's important to attend every session and complete the course, which I know you all will. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Okay, the second core competency is to present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. This core competency is about your skill during the appointment with the buyer or the seller. Presenting to buyers means going through the buyer consultation document, which outlines the entire buying process and all the steps you take to assist the buyer in the process. You will also address any questions or concerns the buyers might have at this time. Presenting to the seller is similar. You go through the entire listing presentation document with them, which outlines the entire selling process, including the marketing you will provide, along with all the steps you take to assist them in the sale of their house. The expected outcome of both of these presentations is that your client, whether a buyer or a seller, will sign an exclusive agreement and work with you. You'll learn all you need to be able to successfully present and obtain a signed agreement later in the course. Number 3, the third competency is about showing buyers and marketing listings for your sellers. What does this mean to you? Showing buyers is all about understanding the needs of the buyer and selecting houses for them to experience with you. Marketing seller translates to marketing their house in the best possible light and via the most channels to ensure that as many potential buyers as possible see it and are interested in it. This will also be covered in more detail further down. Number 4, write and negotiate contracts. The fourth competency is writing and negotiating contracts. This is a big responsibility and one that many new agents are concerned about and anxious about completing their first contract accurately. Negotiating is another competency that requires practice, calm, and a win-win mindset. Remember, win-win is one of Keller Williams' beliefs. Win-win or no deal.
I just wanted to touch on this quickly. So for the new agents on the call, you're either on a team, therefore you have a rainmaker to help guide you with these things, or you were assigned with a mentor. So this is a big reason why we brought in the mentorship program. Of course, agents who join teams, they get that guidance naturally through their team. But so we introduced the mentor program really to help a lot with this portion of the business. Because I mean, yes, you learned the contracts in the course, but that was more of a memorization thing for most people. Then when it comes time to actually fill out the paperwork or actually negotiate a deal, we needed some hand-holding. So just remember, if you're one of the agents with a mentor, that they are here to help you with that kind of thing.
And number 5, coordinate the sale to closing. So the fifth competency is about getting the deal all the way to closing, where the buyer gets the new keys to their home or the seller releases the home to the buyers and you get paid. Keep in mind that not all deals make it to close for a variety of reasons. It takes skill, and this is why it's one of your core competencies.
All right, and then we're back to money. So the sixth and final competency is about managing your money. So we already went through that the paycheck you get at closing is not yours to just spend. There's going to be business expenses to pay, and then of course taxes. You'll never not hear me mention taxes when I talk about money. Too many people get themselves into trouble. So make sure you're saving your taxes. So I just wanted to point out, on February 13th, I'm teaching a course called You Were Paid, Now What? That one, I really just go through the documents you get when you get paid. I go through some of the reports that KW provides, and then I go through some closing. So I go through what your EFT statement will look like and your trade record sheet that you get from our accounting program, things like that, and really just break it down and explain it. So that's on February 13th. And then on March 13th, I'm teaching a course called Agent Financials that really just goes through like some goal setting kind of things and just best practices for your financials in the business. All right. So choose an accountability partner. So speaking of accountability, you cannot do it alone. For this reason, we're going to ask you to partner up with somebody else in the course and help. So like I said, we did cut out a lot of the exercises that were supposed to be in the course just to in interest of time, really. So those exercises are in your participant manual. So if you find an accountability partner, you could do those together. One of the great benefits of having an accountability partner is that it increases your productivity and keeps you on track. And in check-in with your goals. You will provide accountability for your partner, and your partner will provide accountability for you. We suggest that you follow these guidelines that are also listed in your participant guide when you provide and receive accountability. Provide a safe place to share. Follow through with action items. Listen and pay attention while the other person shares. Set a frequency of checking in with each other. Dig deep to find out why you do the things that you do. Respect each other and the process. Create a commitment and stick to it. Be open to receiving feedback. Give specific feedback and have each other's best interests in mind. So this is really important. A lot of our top agents have accountability partners. It's really, really important. It can be a really lonely business. Especially if you're not on a team, you don't necessarily have someone that you're always talking to. So find an accountability partner. It's A, someone to hold you accountable, but B, it's just someone to have in your corner, right? Like it can be lonely. You're a business owner by yourself a lot of times with no one else, no staff. And if you're an individual agent, you're just kind of by yourself. So it's really important. Okay, database. So please take some time before the next session, which is on Wednesday, to add 10 contacts to your command database. You should be doing that daily when you're first starting out. So contacts are people who have agreed to be in a two-way relationship with you. You will start with your sphere that we went through. So those people know, you know them and they know you. Does everyone know how to add a contact in command?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So really, we've talked about it all day long, that lead generation is essentially your job. If you don't have a database, it's really hard to do. You can track in command when you talk to somebody last. You can create automated touch points so it can just kind of happen in the background and you don't necessarily have to remember to do it. And you can reach many people at one time, so it's not so one-on-one. Of course, those one-on-one conversations are going to be more meaningful, but to stay front of mind, those touches that may be like a mass touch to many people will definitely help with that. Do we have any ahas from today? Anything that stood out?
I mean, for me, it was just kind of seeing, I guess, what to expect from the rest of the program. I don't know if this is the end. Is this the end of the session today?
It is, yeah.
Just, looking forward to getting into the office and kind of doing it in person, because we're all kind of sick of Zoom at this point. So it's too bad that the weather worked out this way, but looking forward to finding out what's ahead. And I find this information useful to have a refresh for it. So thanks for making me feel a little bit more comfortable with the path that I'm going down so far. And I look forward to continuing with you guys on Wednesday.
Awesome. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, the rest of the sessions really go into each piece of the business and the mechanics of it. And I didn't mention at the beginning, and I should have, this is being run, all the instructors for Ignite are either ALC members or brokers or the leadership team. So you're getting our top agents teaching this to you. So it's really like, I don't know who else you could want to learn from, but the people running the business and at the top of KW Select. So please make sure you keep coming. You will get a lot out of it.
Quick question, Erin.
Yeah.
Just in terms of scheduling other things throughout the week, I noticed all of the sessions are booked from 9 until 12. Should we expect most of them to run that entirety, or?
They will definitely be longer than today's because they're more detailed. But I would guess most would be 2 hours, not 3, but we are allowing the 3-hour time slot just in case.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thanks.
Just one quick note. One of the sessions doesn't start until 10. Just let me go back to this one. On the 16th, that one will start at 10. We'll send you a reminder about that though. Janice just had a scheduling conflict, so she wasn't able to get to the office until 10. But all the other ones are scheduled from 9 to 12. And just one other quick thing, the week of February 19th, the days are a little bit messed up. February 19th is the holiday, so the office will be closed. So we moved it to the 20th. And then February 21st will be the monthly meeting. So we moved that one to the 22nd. Okay. If nobody has anything else, that is all that we have for you today.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. I think the big thing is accountability to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're the one that's going to make the difference. You're the one that needs to do the work.
100%. You're in this business. You own a business for you, right? You and your family.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you on Wednesday.
All right. See ya.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.